Hi everyone, this is Sherry from the blog OurLifeHomeschooling.com, where I share homeschooling encouragement for everyday moms. I'm going to be talking today about how to motivate your homeschooler to be an independent learner. If you're new to my channel, my name is Sherry. I am a mom to 9 kids with 1 more on the way. I'm married to my high school sweetheart for 22 years. I'm a former public school teacher turned homeschool mom. I love encouraging other moms on my YouTube channel and on the blog OurLifeHomeschooling.com. I encourage you to head over to the blog and check out some of the posts that I have. I have almost 100 posts all about how to get started homeschooling, lots of encouragement for people who are already homeschooling, some tips on morning time, reading aloud. I share everything about how our family has been homeschooling for over 13 years. If you have questions about homeschooling, I would encourage you to leave a comment below and let me know what things you would like to know about. A lot of the videos that I put on my channel are in response to some of the questions that I get from people that respond to other videos. So I would like my channel to be a place where homeschoolers can come and find answers to their questions. Let me know what questions you have about homeschooling. If you want your child to become a lifelong learner, I would encourage them toward independence. Kids are naturally curious, and when we give them freedom to take ownership of their work, they tend to pursue their interests. When they learn how to master a certain skill, it gives them confidence to want to try new things. When I was in college, I was studying education under another teacher. I was doing my student teaching, and she told me something that has always stuck with me. She said, whoever is doing the most work is the one learning. And I have found this to be so true. The more kids are involved in the learning process, the more they're absorbing. So it really benefits us to encourage our kids, especially as they become fluent in reading, writing, and math, to become more and more independent. There are lots of benefits to helping kids become independent learners. First of all, they take ownership of their work. They propel themselves forward. They take initiative. They see it as their success and their progress. Curiosity drives them to pursue their interests. When they have more freedom in what they're learning and more say in what they're learning, then they will just move on in the areas that interest them most. Giving them freedom helps them to learn how to manage their own schedule, which is a really important skill for them. Another benefit of encouraging kids towards independence is that as they acquire new skills or as they try something hard and they conquer it and they learn how to do it, it becomes easier. It gives them confidence to want to try new things. Also, encouraging kids towards independence helps the family. If you are a large family like we are, or if you have a wide range of ages, it really helps for you to have some older kids that are able to do things on their own. I'm going to give you 6 steps to help motivate your homeschooler to be a self-learner. The first is to read to them a lot. Kids who are read to a lot want that ability. They want that skill. They want to They're curious and they want to learn some of those stories for themselves, or they want to be able to find out information for themselves. And so the more you read to them, the more that's going to drive their interests, and they're going to want to read on their own. And as soon as kids are reading, it opens up a whole new world for them, and they are able to do so many things on their own. The second thing is establish a habit of copywork and narration. Whatever you choose for your language arts curriculum, I would still have kids practice the habit of copywork and narration every day. These 2 skills, I write about them extensively on the blog. Copywork and narration are skills that are like a multivitamin. They cover so much ground. And once kids are writing fluently, they can do them on their own. The third step is to create a workable checklist. So as soon as you have a child that is ready to be more independent, they can read on their own, they can write on their own, they have a basic foundation of math skills, you can give them a checklist. A checklist for them is going to be something that they can take. It's a visual tool for them to be able to go and look and see everything that they have to accomplish that day, everything that's required of them. And I involve my kids in the checklist when I put it together at the beginning of the year. I involve them in this and ask them, after we put some of the major things that they need to have on it, I ask them, what would you like to do? What would you like to study this year? Is there something that we can add in your day that is something that interests you or that you want to learn more about? And so if you involve them, especially in creating the checklist, they will be excited about completing their checklist. Tip number 4, teach your kids some life skills. Academic work is very important, but life skills are equally valuable. When your kids learn to master certain skills, it gives them confidence to try new things. For younger kids, you can help them learn how to empty the dishwasher, make their own bed, empty the waste can in the bathroom, for example, vacuum the floor, wash the table, wash the dishes. Older kids can learn to do their own laundry. They can cook a meal for the family. These kinds of things are a great contribution and make work a lot easier on the mom. And they also help kids become more and more independent when they realize how many things they can do without someone else's help. The 5th tip I would give would be to choose your curriculum wisely. Some curriculums are more teacher intensive than others. When I started homeschooling, I wanted to teach each of my kids individually. I had a teaching background, and I did realize early on that you can accomplish so much more in such a shorter amount of time when you're working one-on-one with them. And this was very important, in the early stages of their learning as they're just getting the foundation, just starting to read, getting those basic math concepts. But at some point, I think I had maybe 3 kids, and I was doing 3 individual math lessons on top of all of the other work that we were doing. And I started to realize this was just not doable, and I was getting burned out. So we needed to move towards something that was more independent. At the time, I did this very reluctantly. The teacher in me felt that this was subpar. It was not equivalent to me being able to sit down and do a lesson one-on-one with them. After we tried it though, I discovered that the opposite happened. When my kids saw the math that they had to complete for that day and they were able to see how much was expected of them, they thrived. They were more motivated to do their work, rather than me just sitting there and doing the next game or the next part of the lesson, and they never knew when it was going to be done. When they saw what they had to do for that day in math, it gave them the motivation to finish it all by themselves. So pick a curriculum wisely. Pick something that's less teacher intensive. And I will tell you that for our family, we use Veritas Press self-paced history lessons for history. They're excellent. We use Singapore Math for the math that the kids do, and we use Apologia Science. These are all fairly less teacher intensive and ones that kids would be able to do on their own. Again, on the blog, I have our large family homeschool curriculum if you want to take a look at that post. The last tip for helping your kids to become independent learners is to model it yourself. When you have a free moment, what do your kids see you doing? Instead of scrolling on your phone or sitting down in front of the TV, find something productive to do. If you are modeling productivity for them, if you're always learning, if you're always trying new things or investing in a hobby, they're going to want to do that too. Be a producer rather than a consumer, and it will catch with your kids. If you want your kids to be lifelong learners, then model it yourself. What about one-on-one learning? Just because you are encouraging kids towards independence does not mean that you're not going to be doing some one-on-one with them every day. There is so much benefit from doing something one-on-one with a child. If you have an older child that has become more independent in their work, I would encourage you to sit down with them at least once every day and go through their checklist, go through subject by subject. Become more of a facilitator in their learning process. So this is their education. They are taking the initiative on this, and you are there to guide them, to check with them, to help them when they have struggles. In our homeschool, at the end of the day, I try to sit down with my kids and go through their checklist and just go step by step. I have them tell me what they learned that day. I have them show me their Copywork. We talk through different things. I ask them what they did in math, and we look over everything. That time that you spend one-on-one with them is going to cover a lot of ground. It's going to allow them to continue working independently every day, but to have someone that's checking in and someone that is a guide and available to help them when they need it. What about group learning? I think group learning still has so many benefits, and just because you're encouraging your child towards independence does not mean that you're not going to do any group work throughout the day. We use our group work as a time to cover some of those subjects that you can do with all ages. So for example, history, memory work, poetry, art study, Bible reading. We review some language arts skills and spelling rules in our group work. We also read aloud a lot. In our family, we have morning time, which is basically our morning group work we do at the table, and then we have more group work in the afternoon where we read aloud together. And in between there is where the kids do all their independent work. So there's a lot that kids can benefit from when you do things all together. Just because you're encouraging their independence doesn't mean that you're not going to still do some things all together. At what age are kids mostly independent? I think a lot of moms with young kids especially want to know this because it is hard when you have you still have babies and toddlers, and then you have some school-age kids, and you're trying to meet everyone's needs, and so you want your oldest to become more independent. I think this is going to differ for each child and each family, and truthfully, there are some kids that may not ever be completely independent. They may always need you to guide them more or to come alongside you throughout the day, and that's okay. That is okay. Every child is different. For us, I would say most of our kids were fairly independent with reading, writing, and math around the age of 9 or 10, give or take, based on their personality. At that point, they were just able to usually read fluently and write fluently, so they were able to keep going in their lessons on their own. But again, if you have a child who is not independent by that age, I wouldn't be discouraged by it. That is our job as moms, to accept and love our children with the unique personalities that they have and to meet them where they are. I would love to hear from you. From your experiences, what tips would you have for encouraging a child to become an independent learner? Share with everyone. I feel like we can all benefit learning from each other and each other's experiences. Thanks for listening in. Have a great day.